Hello everyone, and welcome back to Galactic Mystic. I'm your host, Kandice, and today, as you can tell by the title, we are going to be talking about ego deaths. In particular, we're going to be diving into my own ego deaths, as I have had a good share, if I don't say so myself. I wanted today's episode to be about ego deaths because this is going to be the last episode of season 1. And I personally have just gone through another ego death with my own coaching business, Subconscious Moon. And I briefly talked about this on a live stream this morning where I cried like a little baby. But I love crying, by the way. Like, it's okay to cry. And my Scorpio energy heavily was like, this is the time, if not the time, to talk about an ego death. Especially since the Scorpio card in tarot is the death card. I am a Scorpio sun, and I just felt like it was very fitting for us to talk about ego deaths today. The physical, the mental, the emotional, and the physical things that you would feel during an ego death. As I'm recording this, it is now 4:44 on the dot. And if you guys have been listening to me, following me from any capacity, you know how many times I've told you how the number 44 literally is like the thing that has been popping up for me in the last 5-6 months. So this is just very fitting. It's a very beautiful time for us to talk about this. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into our season finale episode of Galactic Mystic, talking about ego deaths. So before we dive into my personal experiences in regards to ego death, I think it's only fitting that we talk about what the hell is an ego death, how do you know you're going through one, and what would be the thing that I would recommend for you to do. To understand an ego death, you first have to understand the ego. And the ego is basically a sense of self. It is how you develop your sense of personality, who you are at its core at a special young age, particularly your childhood. According to Shannon Kaiser, the spiritual author of forthcoming book, Return to You, she adds that the ego relates to your feelings about your own importance and abilities. It's how you identify and what you identify with, like who you are as a person, whether it's your gender identity, what your beliefs are, your morals, etc., etc. And I would 100% agree with her that your ego is developed when you are a child. And if you really want to go back even further, it's developed through your own paradigm. Your paradigm is your own mindset. It is your reality. It is how you see life. And if your reality is not the greatest, if you don't have the best caretakers, if you have instances of abandonment or no really nourishing or motherly care, or the lack of, or the feeling as if you're not getting a sense of love in that family, or maybe it's not even that, maybe you do feel love, but the people that are surrounding you are actually individuals that talk more about hate, that talk about how being gender fluid is wrong and you have to be heterosexual and that's the only way. Or maybe you're living in a family that is more Bible thumping in your face, and the more you get older, you're realizing that these things, these beliefs, these thoughts, these feelings aren't just really fucking with you the way that they used to. And so an ego death is when you are basically realizing that now that you're older, that the things that you were taught to when you were young, the things that had shaped your paradigm, aren't things that you want to deal with, go with, be along with. And it's shocking for a lot of people, because if you have been brainwashed, or I guess I shouldn't say brainwashed, but if you have been told a certain rhetoric your entire life, it can be really mind fuckery to you to really dissociate yourself from things, from people, from beliefs, from words, from appropriation to government to anything. It can really disrupt who you are at its core, and it can leave a lot of people not really understanding what to do with their life because it's their ego. It is their sense of looking at life and how they view things and how their mind has been shaped. And if their mind has been shaped where it hasn't been the greatest, it can really hurt people in a way that not a lot of people can really understand. And the ego death is often instantaneous. It's a instant download. It's a instant realization that you are truly not the things you identify with. Um, Especially in regards to how your mind was shaped, as I mentioned earlier. In some instances, it can offer a feeling of peace, a feeling more connected to have you understand, like, it just didn't make sense to me. So it makes sense to me to let this go. Or it may be the opposite to where I don't understand how you guys can think that and to want to bring me up in this reality as if it was true and it's really not. And to go a little bit further into this, in some people, they may really resist this type of death, this type of understanding that this is not something I really want to do or realize, right? This experience that they go through or this realization can be very scary for some individuals. It can really result in a sense of detachment or disassociation, and this can also leave a person feeling a complete loss. They may feel as if they don't know who they are anymore. It can cause depression, anxiety, fear, and it can really allow someone to feel a little bit lost in this matrix, especially if you're awakening, especially if you're going through an ascension process, especially if you're disassociating yourself from a lot of things and people and thoughts and behaviors. It can really trigger some other things within you once you're realizing that this identity that you have grown to attach yourself to is no longer something you resonate with. Ultimately, though, ego deaths are not casual in experience. It is the actual opposite. It can change the course of someone's life entirely. When someone comes through the other side of having to realize a lot of things that aren't for them anymore, releasing these things or the things that they had identified with can really truly bring out beautiful transition for them, or it can really leave them feeling a loss of self, of people, of beliefs, and so forth. As I mentioned, ego deaths are not for everyone, and they do happen differently for everyone. Sometimes it happens through triggers. Maybe you are going through something emotionally that kind of triggers you to kind of think, like, wait, that's not right. Like, I don't want to do this, or this doesn't make any sense, or how could you do that to someone else? Or, I'm a woman. Why would you think that's okay for it to happen to women? It can really have you change a course of your ideals. And some of it can also come in the form of you taking psychedelics. If you do mushrooms, if you are going on an acid trip, some things can really make you kind of purge these things out a lot faster than you were anticipated. Some people like to also say meditations can do this, sound baths, and any type of out of body experiences, especially if you physically had passed away but you were brought back to life. This can bring some sort of an ego death for you as well. So, now let's go ahead and dive into the different stages you may actually go through when it comes to an ego death. Now, the first one, which is the most, popularized one, which would be the spiritual awakening. The first stage of ego death is the initial moment of awakening in which you wake up from the ego's power over you. This is the identity, the beliefs, the things that you were told or what you're telling yourself as a form of identity, and saying that this is something that no longer resonates with me. That can then lead you to going down a rabbit hole of trying to understand what is the truth and really trying to understand your emotions and your feelings and your thoughts, and how you can then change them for the better, because what you're realizing is something that you want to connect with. The second stage that you may go through is called the dark night of the soul. This is where you question everything and you realize things are not as what they seem. It's not what you thought. It's kind of like the space in between death and energetically being alive. I like to really call it the void sometimes. It kind of feels like, why am I here? Why are we doing anything? And I can absolutely say for some of my clients, as I am a feminine coach, some of my clients are currently going through this stage right here where they had their epiphanies about what doesn't resonate with them, but now they're feeling kind of stuck like, well, I know my past doesn't fit me, but I also know like the future is kind of vague. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I have a sense of what I'm supposed to do. But does it really fucking matter because we're in this matrix? So what's the point? The government's ruling the government and, people are starving. The weather's going to shit. I can't do this. I can't do that. So they're questioning a lot of things and they're wondering, why am I even here? What's the point of these things? And this is the dark night of the soul. Um, this comes in different forms. It's not just a one time that you would have a dark night of the soul, but if you have a lot of triggers and you haven't really worked on each of those triggers, you can have a dark night of the soul for each trigger. This can come in the form about you realizing things about money and your own money story. This can come in relation to relationships, but really deep down, that's more in how you grew up in your own family and how your mother dynamic was and how your father dynamic was and how you're trying to change that, especially if you are a feminine that has kids. You're trying to change that rhetoric. But it's a constant of you not really knowing what to do or how to do it because the people that are around you they weren't given, or you weren't given the best type of role models to really help your children. So you're trying to figure things out as you go. So it can really come in different forms when you think about the dark night of the soul. The third stage that you could really experience during the ego death is exploration and curiosity. This is where you start to really begin more and feel the void with things that are in line with your soul. This goes heavy off when you start to really listen to your inner child, really start to listen to the things that make you feel happy, doing the things that make you feel happy, putting yourself first and allowing yourself to really heal. This can be in the form of you trying new things, doing things that you never thought you could do, but really saying, fuck it, YOLO. We only live once, we might as well try to do what we can in this matrix as much as we possibly can. It's also important to note that although the ego death seems like you're like killing it, what's actually happening is that you are losing a self of being that was subjected to its power over to you. Why can't I not say that word? But you know what I mean. As your ego dies off, though, you start to live from a place of more love and light. You start to be more of a place of being more present than really being in the shadow or thinking more negatively or thinking like, woe is me. Or you also come in the form of really being more in tune to how others and how you can uplift them by sharing your knowledge or being that form of healing to people that are around you that are open to receiving. Because I do, want to say that you can't force people to heal. You can't force people to listen to you because you've gone through it, right? They have to go through their own ego death and their own POV because, again, they're going through their own thing in their own way. So they have to really allow themselves to connect to their own identity that they're losing. Now, the fourth stage that you could experience with an ego death is soul growth and enlightenment. This is where, when things start to settle down, you start to soften the way of you being. It allows you to be more, like I said, in the present moment. You start to really realize about your true nature. You start to vibrate high. You start to really connect to your higher self. You basically have cleared a lot of your old patterns. And now you're embodying much more light and wanting to live more simpler. You're wanting to be more in the divine aspect in the universe and creativity and to showcase this more love in you and to show it to other people. It's really you tapping into your higher version of yourself and really noticing these things. Now, I will absolutely say that the soul growth and enlightenment, this takes a long time for you to get here. And I have been on my own journey for the last 4.5, 5 years. And I'm just now getting to the soul growth and enlightenment. I definitely feel like what I just went through the last month and a half of me going through an ego death has allowed me to really be in that place to where I know moving forward, my life is not going in the direction that it once was. I'm not putting my mindset in that place like it once was. I'm not allowing certain things to trigger me like it once did. I am really allowing myself to move forward in the direction, even if I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I do know that I'm putting myself in the energy towards this thing. And it's to the things that really make me happy. It's to the things that I know that I'm cultivating, creating for this in this beautiful matrix that we're in. And so when you get to that soul growth and enlightenment, it really does hit you different. You do feel a sense of freedom, a lot of detachments, a lot of alignment to what you do want. And you're not fearful of all the little triggers and the little things that would have developed within you. You really have cleared out those emotions, those thoughts, those actions that you can now move forward in a way that is, more connected to Mother Gaia, more connected to the universe, divine, God, whoever, however you want to see them. But you're more connected to that than where you were really connected to the things that were still keeping you here in the matrix, if you will. Now, before I dive into my own personal experiences to where I can just give you my opinion and allow you to see what I've gone through to give you a little bit of inspiration or just to let you know you're not alone, as I too have gone through it. I do just want to talk about how do you go about achieving your ego death if that is something that you're looking into. So I'm just going to repeat this again, that the ego death is not for everyone. It is not for the faint. It is not easy. It is something that you have to be consistent with yourself, because this is going to require you to be vulnerable. This is going to require you to be honest and compassionate with yourself. It's also going to require you to be consistent with what you're coming up with as far as your triggers. You're going to need to set boundaries with people that have been in your circle that may not really connect to what you're saying anymore. You're going to have to find people, or at least put the energy out there to the universe for people to really connect to you that's in a soul energy than you ever had before. This is really going to require you that, you do things for self. And if you've never done things for self and you've always been a people pleaser, or you've been an empath and you've been able to help others and not really yourself, this is going to be something that you have to really let go of and really be okay with letting it go. And this is not only coming from my own experience, but it's also just coming from me as a coach, because as a feminine coach, this is what I teach my clients all the time, that it's not easy. And you probably have seen it on TikTok where people are rescinding spirituality, or they're saying that it's the devil and it's all this stuff. And it's like, spirituality is what you make it. There is no practice within it. It's not a religion. It is something that you create that is connected to you, to your soul deep energy. And if you are going through your own ego death, but you can't take it and you don't like where it's taking you because you're having some deep, dark thoughts that's having to come up and you're having to purge it, that sounds like a you problem. Okay? It's not spirituality's problem. It's not anyone else's problem. If you are declining yourself from diving deeper into that, that is something that you have to realize. But don't blame it on spirituality. Don't blame it on people like me or another reader or someone else that you recognize and connect with on any type of social media platform. I will repeat again, it is not for the faint. And if you are not willingness to go deep and to really dive into that, then get comfortable with staying with the same stuff and don't come complaining to other people when it comes to you not leveling up the way that you want to. Okay? I just thought I felt like I needed to say that. But if you are really ready to really induce it or try to ignite it the way that you want to, the best way that I can give you my opinion to really dive into that is really doing a lot of meditation. Maybe trying different types of workshops that can help you peel that back. This can also be you finding a coach, like someone like me or someone else that you can align with, that would help you peel back those layers of your emotions so that you can kind of understand your triggers, understand the things that you're maybe missing that are included in your subconscious blocks. Um, you can also try psychedelics. I mean, I'm not ever going to harm or say no to mushrooms because I mean, I personally never done any mushrooms, but I know a lot of people that have done mushrooms that has helped them kind of see things that they never thought they'd be able to see. And plus, mushrooms come from Mother Gaia, okay? Anything that's made from the ground, that's made from this dirt, that's made in this energy, um, that is not man made, that is not chemically distorted to fuck with you, I think it's okay for you to try because, again, it's coming from Mother Gaia. Now, I absolutely want to say, like, make sure you do it in a safe space, that you're in a safe environment with people that you trust so that you're not freaking the fuck out. But, if you do want to try psychedelics, I think that's a great way for you to open up that form of understanding it. Again, you can read a lot of books. You can do, again, a lot of meditations. Breath work would be another way for you to dive into your ego death. Breath work is a great way for you to calm your physical body, but it also helps you slow down your cautious brain, which is your active brain, and it allows your subconscious to be more open for you to really tap into that. So, say for instance, you don't really know what to do, but you close your eyes and you're doing like deep breaths and you're saying to yourself over and over again, like, it's okay, let the blocks be removed, let me connect, let me connect. If you really allow yourself to not be fearful of that and really connect, you can really connect. Another thing that you can do is go to any type of Reiki healer. I think Reiki would be a great way for you to tap into that, especially if you know that there is a lot of trauma or PTSD that you're dealing with. I think Reiki is a great form for you to go physically see and have that energy be removed from your body because that also helps you connect in that spiritual realm as well as that mental realm as well. So, with that all being said, y'all, let's go ahead and now dive into my experiences. Now, I kind of want to go into the stages because I feel like if I were to talk about my 4 stages of ego deaths, then you kind of have a good idea of where I'm coming from as far as like how I've been able to really realize these things and allow me to really be who I am right now. So, again, stage number 1 that you may go through is a spiritual awakening. I've talked about my journey a lot through a different podcast and to other people's podcasts, as well as like speaking engagements. But for me, my spiritual awakening happened for me 4 to 5 years ago when it really established after my son was born. I was realizing that I had a partner that wasn't really there for me like I thought he would be. I was realizing that I was sad for no reason, and it can definitely be, you know, when you have after birth depression. But it wasn't really like I was depressed though. I mean, I've seen a therapist, so it's not like I had depression. It was just kind of like this is not what I thought my life would be like. I'm having a second child at the age of 30 that I wasn't married because I thought at the time I would be married, right? These are my beliefs, these are my thoughts. I'm thinking at the age 30, I'd be married. I would have one baby father. Now I have two. I don't really have a job because now I have to quit my job in order for me to take care of my second child, which is not a problem. But when you've already had a kid and my oldest at the time was 8 years old, it's kind of like having to restart over. And so you're kind of pushing your mindset back into that place of like, okay, I got to be a mom and I got to do all these extra things and still on top of that be another mom to an 8-year old and still be there. And then also, right, really be a partner to someone, right? And what all that entails. And for me, I didn't have, nobody. I didn't have any physical friends that showed up for me, that came to the hospital, that was really there for me during the time of me having my kid. I didn't have family. The youngest of four, my siblings and I do not talk. And if we do, it's kind of just like, the mundane things. I mean, and that's rare. It's not at all like every week or every other day, like how siblings would be. So it's not like I have a family in that sense. My mom came to visit, but even then, it was hard to really be present because my mom was, saying her own stuff about how she would want things to be. And it's like, I'm processing a lot of chemicals here. I just pushed out a baby. I'm realizing that I'm not really here. I don't feel like my body. I physically don't look good. I weighed 200 pounds after giving birth. And I'm looking at myself physically and being like, where are you? You're not in there. I don't see who you are. On top of that, over within that year when my son turned a year, we moved to another state. Didn't have friends there. Nothing really happened there. It's me being home with the kids, which, by the way, I love my kids. And I also want to say I love being a stay-at-home mom, which we'll get into in another stage here when we talk about ego deaths. But like when you are moving around and you don't really have anyone there except for your kids see a lot. And at the time, my father was gone. My father died when my oldest was 3. So this is about 5 years in. Father's not there. Like, I just don't have nobody physically that would say, "Are you okay?" other than my kids. And this is when my oldest came to me when we moved to the new house, and he says, "Mom, you're different. You're sad. You're not who you used to be. And I don't know what's going on with you, but I kind of need my mom back." And looking back now, hindsight, I know for sure that was my angels, my spiritual counsel talking to or talking through my child, saying these things to me. Because could you imagine an 8-year-old boy telling you this? Because mine did. And that literally pushed me to be like, you're right, kiddo. Mom is not happy. I don't know what the fuck is going on with me. I'm here, but I don't feel like I'm here. And that pushed me to learn more about paradigms. At the time, I didn't want to see a therapist because I knew a therapist would probably just put me on pills. And at the time, I was still breastfeeding. I was still doing a lot of things for my son, and I didn't want to be on pills. I personally never liked pills. Personally, never liked medicine in that form, which we'll go into later about how that kind of ties into who I am. But I didn't really like pills and modern medicine in that way. And so I first wanted to learn more about the science. I wanted to learn why was my brain acting the way that it was acting. And me learning more about my paradigm led me to understand about the beliefs I was told when I was a child, the beliefs I was told when I was a teen, when I was 20, and when I was 30. And these beliefs and things told to me come from my own parents, come from teachers, friends, past relationships, my current relationship at the time. It was a lot that I was being told, and I wasn't really listening to me. I wasn't listening to what Kandice really wanted or how Kandice felt. I was listening to what other people were telling me. And that's where I felt that dissociation, that first feeling like, this is not, I don't fuck with this. I don't know who I am, and I need to figure that out. But what I do know is that the things that I was told at a young age has led me to subconsciously attract the same things that my family, my father, my mother, my siblings, the friends that I grew up with, they are all things that I grew up with that I just don't want to have anymore. And it shaped me to be this woman that I didn't like. I really, really didn't like. And so it pushed me into my spiritual awakening. Me learning more about my paradigm made me learn more about energy, which led me to learn more about frequency, which I talked a lot about that in the frequency episode on how that changed my rhetoric and how I was learning more about, being more high vibe and being low vibe, and like how the foods that we eat have frequency, and the things that you say and the tones that you say things, and how they have an effect on our mind and how they have effect on our body, especially our spiritual body. So that was my stage 1 of my spiritual awakening 4 or 5 years ago. It was a very rude awakening of like, I don't know who the fuck I am. And I need to find out who the fuck I am, because this shit right here, my boy, this shit was not popping for Candyland. It was just not something it's not something or anything I really resonated with anymore. Which leads me into the Dark Night Soul. Woo, was this thing ever so fucking crazy, dealing with the dark night of the soul? It really made me understand a lot about my past relationships in hindsight, in full entirety. I didn't know what it meant to be a girl. I didn't know what it meant to have feelings. I didn't know what it meant to actually express these feelings, because whenever I tried to express my feelings, it always had backfired in me, or I was told that I was crazy, or I was told that I heard things, and even though I knew I heard certain things, I was told, no, you're crazy. Like, I didn't know those were my spiritual gifts. I didn't know that that was me doing my telepathic. I didn't know that I was clairaudient, me hearing things and me sensing things. I didn't know that I was clear empathetic. I didn't know I had a lot of these clear abilities. And me going through this whole spiritual awakening opened this door of me learning more about that. It made me learn more about, medicine and herbs, and learning how I can change my body and my mind and my physical and mental ramification just by drinking certain herbs as tea, or putting them in a bath so that I can feel cleansed, or how I can utilize that to create more of my own spiritual magic for myself. And again, I'm a Scorpio sun. So the occult things that are hidden, intuition, tarot, spirituality, like these things I should have known, but I didn't really understand it. That's why I was so gravitated towards tarot, and always watching tarot readings and being like, yes, bitch, that's exactly how I'm feeling. Like I didn't really understand that shit. And so me going into that really had me understanding more about meditations, and I was doing more meditations and allowing what I'm hearing to come in, and that's where my spiritual family came in. I'm learning more about my ancestors. I'm learning more about the angels and the ability to really sense who the fuck I was talking to when I was a kid. Like, I don't know if you know this, but if you had an imaginary friend, it's probably not an imaginary friend. It was probably your spiritual counsel. And I know, at least for me, they're telling me stories that I remember, and they're like, nope, that was me. That was me, trying to guide you and play with you because you were alone, or we wanted you to have this creativity flow. So we were just trying to help you develop this thing. And it just made me realize a lot about my own magic, about my own ancestry magic. It let me understand what I'm capable of as an individual, that I am a magician. I am a manifester. I am a generator. Like, I am these things, and I can create my reality. And it is up to me with my own thoughts and my own emotions that I literally can birth something new if I put my mind to it. And that fucked with me, because I was like, this is the opposite of what I was told. This is the opposite of what I was given to as instruction. This also opened up to me understanding a lot about the government and society, and how everything has been kind of rooted against anyone that has melanated skin. Also realizing that the melanated people were the first people here. It wasn't anybody like the Vikings or the Greeks or the Romans or any of that. It was me learning more about Egyptian culture. It was me learning more about, the Anunnaki and the Palladian starseed constellation. Like, shout out to Subaru, man, because Subaru has the Palladian star constellation on their thing. Like, there's so many things that I was realizing about. Everything was not real. Nothing is real. The government clearly has a hatred for Black people for no reason. We didn't ask to come here. But there's so much more deep, embedded, rooted psychological rhetoric that was taught against about Black individuals, women, me, people who don't even know me, but they hate me just because of the color of my skin. Me realizing that anything that I would do, it didn't fucking matter, that, because I'm like, if for businesses and jobs, like I always felt like, how come I never get promoted? How come I never really get, the jobs or the pay that I think I deserve, because I'm doing more than Susie or Sally over there. But I would never get that same type of, promotion that Billy Bob would get. Like, it literally made me feel like, damn, it's rooted in there in the system to really just not give Black women any forms of recognition in any form. That fucked with me. Me really, like, realizing more about past life regressions, and how my soul, my inner soul has been here so many times in different incarnation body, this different vessels, that it fucked with me. I'm like, this is intense. I'm realizing a lot about spirituality. I'm realizing about different types of witch. You clarifying who you are. And I never felt like, I didn't like the word witch because it always has this negative connotation and people have this negative feeling about it. And I didn't really like to name myself one particular witch, but I do fuck with elements, and I did fuck with the Mother Earth and just the natural things like that, because I feel like, with my ancestors, that's all they had. They didn't have anything else other than utilizing, earth, the air, fire, and water to really do anything in their magic. Me realizing a lot the Matrix, like really watching the Matrix. Like if you really watch the Matrix, you really will understand that that's literally it telling us that that's what we're in right now. There's a lot of NPCs out there that are just going about their day. They don't really give a shit. But there's people like Neo that are they're questioning their life. And I was Neo, you know and I finally took that red pill just like he did and said, fuck it, like I want to go down the rabbit hole. I want to feel alive. I don't want to feel dead and weird in the inside. I don't want to take the blue pill and feel like I just need to just be here and have no meaning to life and just deal with it. It opened my door to understand a lot of shit, y'all. And this was just a lot of dark soul shit. It was a lot me understanding about who I am and what I want to do here and how I can uplift, because this could also be just because I am a Virgo rising, that servitude, that wanting to help individuals. It's like, how can I help people? How can I help people understand where I'm going through, what I've gone through, so that they know they're not alone? Which led me to doing more tarot and showcasing tarot, because I did tarot for myself, but this really led me to just do tarot for the collective. And then I started doing that last year with Subconscious Moon. That was all I did. I went live every day, just about shuffling cards for 2-3 hours, giving out readings, doing paid readings, doing free readings, just doing readings in general so I can help the collective. It allowed me to kind of help people see the potential where they could be if they just allow their intuition to help feel that, which was very weird because, at the same time, I didn't really understand how I could survive off of that. Especially since that is the same time last year that I decided to leave the toxic household. And I didn't have a physical job, but tarot was what I had. So I was trying to live in this matrix by still trying to, be a mom and survive with paying that. But then sacrificing my creativity. And that was for a whole year. It wasn't until the beginning of this year that I had another ego death that led me into that dark night of the soul and saying to myself, well, I'm not just a tarot reader. There's a lot of things that I do possess. I am creative. I know how to run a business. I know how to run a lot of things. I've done a lot of research on a lot of stuff. But maybe coaching is something that I can do. Maybe coaching is what I should do because I'm already doing that. I have a certificate in coaching and feminine coaching, to be specific. And so if I'm learning more to how to be a more of a coach, then I can do that. And so it was an ego death of me getting rid of me not being just a tarot reader. Like, that was hard. Like, if you put your mind into something and you do it all the time, and that's what people recognize you for, which by the way, which which was what a lot of people knew me for on Subconscious Moon, was just a tarot reader. They didn't know me as a feminine coach then. And so it was hard for me to detach from that ego, that identity that I created around that. It was hard for me to see, can I actually do this when people know me for this? And it was hard for me to push that through. The third stage of your ego death is like curiosity and wanting to kind of see things go about. And this is kind of where I entered in this stage fully, I will absolutely say, around, actually, I would say like around the April to about August. Really allowing myself to be creative and feeling the void. This is the time where I felt like what the fuck is the point of a lot of things. I didn't really feel like I was doing much, even though I had clients at Subconscious Moon. It was very. I just felt like, oh, what I need to do more things for me because I feel like yes, I have clients, but what else is there? So this is where I was really developing more of my own sense of style, and this is how I really created Galactic Mystic because I wanted to showcase my creativity that I haven't been able to share. I fucking love food. I love cooking. I love really being organized and showing my personality through random TikTok videos or talking about different ways that you can uplift your own spirituality. It was a way for me to go inward, to just explore and have fun and not really be in this intense mode that the world was going through. I mean, at that time, when you think about it, the solar eclipses were going through. There's a lot of, you know, people telling people what they need to be doing with their own bodies. There's a lot of like intense things going on around the world, war across the land and shit. Like it was just like a lot of things going on. So for me, I really wanted to be creative, and that's why I developed Galactic Mystic. At the same time, I was receiving a lot of downloads about my new baby, Occult Media, and really wanting to curate something that was in line with this. Because, with Subconscious Moon, I really don't get a chance to talk about alien, starseed, weird phenomenon, NPCs, universal shit like I would, because literally that platform is all about feminine energy. And so when I thought about Occult Media, or when I kept getting those downloads and those random sprinkles of magic from the universe, it really made me be like, okay, I want to curate something that's for my energy, that's Scorpio, weirdo, creative, alien energy that's within me. And I want to have that be for the collective too, because this is how I know we can come together instead of it being so separated and people having their intense, ideologies and opinions about shit. I really wanted to have a place for fucking weirdo creatives that we can create together in this beautiful matrix that we're in. And that has really led me to step into stage number 4, which is that soul growth and enlightenment. Before I got to this stage, though, I would absolutely say that the month of August and leading up to September, it was me really trying to force more shit into Subconscious Moon, because Subconscious Moon has been my breadwinner. It has been the thing that has gave me a lot of coaching clients. People have found me for workshops or doing spell work or, any forms of energy exchange that would be in the form of prosperity. Like people have found me through that business. And I haven't had a new client in months. I haven't had a sale in months. If I did, it was like random little things and not necessarily like big ticket items. So I was starting to freak out and I started to be like, well, I need to start pushing out a lot of content. I need to start doing all these things. I need to create all these things to get money in, and I'm forcing it. I'm forcing myself to be in alignment to something that I slowly was not realizing that my soul energy was saying it's time to let that go. It was hard for me to show up for Subconscious Moon, especially if you follow me on there. You probably noticed that in the month of August, I was not really anywhere. I wasn't showing up for TikTok lives anymore like I used to. I wasn't really posting a lot on Instagram. I wasn't really doing a lot of stuff. I mean, there were some things that I was doing. I had that feminine prosperity workshop, but even then that felt pushed. It felt like I had to find some form of abundance or prosperity into my vortex, and I was forcing it. I love doing the workshop, don't get me wrong, it was great to do, and I had 7 people sign up. To shout out to everyone that signed up for that, because you guys helped me, find a different way that I'm adding into Occult Media, by me doing that particular workshop with y'all. But it was a lot of me having to understand that if I really am feeling more in this creative mode to create for Occult Media, then I need to give myself that opportunity to create for Occult Media. It was a big ego death for me not to be like, well, this is my other baby. I grew this a whole year and people know me for this. And if What if I stop this, then what? Who I am after that? Like, if I'm not subconscious moon, then who am I? Who the fuck am I? What do I do? How do I do this? How do I start a whole new business that's the opposite of what I'm doing now? What? And that was another ego death that I had to go through August. It was a lot of tears. It was a lot of yells. It was a lot of screaming at my own spiritual counsel because I'm like, how the fuck you not telling me this shit? You telling me to trust myself and do all these things and follow the feminine, but yet here I am still the B word, which was the BROKE. I don't like to say that word, but I kept saying I'm that B word and I don't feel aligned and nothing's coming into me and I'm starving. I can't create anything because I don't have any food in the house. Like, I was freaking out, y'all. I was literally having another ego death to its core. Like, and it freaked me out because, again, a lot of y'all have found me through that platform, through that name. And it was like, how can I do this without, a form of revenue coming in? And this is where a lot of things started to change for me. Like, I was going through that, but at the same time, there was a lot of beautiful, beautiful synchronicities here. For one, I was reached out to a friend named Sam. Shout out to you, Sam, if you're ever hearing this. I will forever be grateful for you because you came into my life where I didn't even think this would be possible, but it's possible. Sam has created a business called Universal Sync, where she has this idea of bringing a lot of astrologers together that can help the collective really talk about their form of astrology in their way. Creating an app and also a Facebook group and podcast that would be relation to that. And she asked if I would be a part of that. And I'm like, girl, I am not an astrologer. I may talk about astrology because I look up the numbers and like I see the chart, but I'm not an astrologer. I'm not certified. I didn't go to school for this. This is just me loving astrology because I know the planets have an effect on me, which has an effect on everyone down here. So I just want to share that knowledge. And she's like, that's exactly why I want you to be a part of this because you're not an astrologer, but you are. You use tarot in a different way. You talk to the collective in a different way that caters to astrology. And not only that, but it'd be a great way for us to have someone that's not an astrologer that can give us a different POV. And I would really appreciate for you to be a part of this. I would love for you to be one of the founding fathers of this business that I'm creating. And I'm like, oh shit. For real? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, on top of that, I know you do a podcast. How would you feel about being a part of the podcast department so that you have a place to do your creativity and we can follow your footsteps and create podcasts and allow people to do this? So in the month of August, I have been really setting time up with her and the brand and thinking about different podcast styles, different shows to create, really getting that in alignment for Universal Sync and having that be launched in November, December. So I'm going to be in charge of that, which goes really beautiful because again, these sprinkles of information from the universe, with Occult Media, I said one of the mediums that I wanted to do was podcasting. I really fuck with podcasting. I love talking. I love just sitting down, pulling up the mic and having a conversation, especially if the conversation is inviting other people with me. Like, this is something I can really mess with. And the fact that she says, I would love for Occult Media to be the producer of this, Chef Kiss, made me feel more aligned with this. It made me feel more aligned to what I'm moving forward and bringing in that energy. Not only that, at the same time, my friend Nicole, shout out to you, Nicole, because I'm pretty sure you're listening to this. She reached out to me and said, you know what, I've been writing a book, and if you're doing media, I would love for you to be my editor and to help me publish the book. And I said, what? Come again? Me? She said, yes, you are phenomenal. I appreciate your insight. I know you will help me with the cover because your art is inspiring. You do things differently. I know you're going to curate my voice the way that I want to. You're not going to shadow it. You're going to amplify it. And I said, oh my God, Nicole, like, for real? And she's like, for real, like, this is what I want you to do. So could you please be my editor and my producer for this book that I'm creating. And I'm like, done. So this is now two different people coming to me saying that we want you to help me create media, to create something for the collective. And I said, you know what, universe? You are bringing me a lot of alignment here. You are bringing me a lot of enlightenment here. It led me really see that I can let go of subconscious moon, and that what I am feeling gravitated towards, where my feminine energy is really shoving me, where my inner child is really saying, yes, this, you can do this, is really beautiful. So I am not only in charge of someone else's podcast episodes, but now I'm also in charge with creating someone's book for her and getting that out to the public, to the collective. And it made me feel like, okay, this is really in line for me. Now, what is even more special with this is that I had this sense of creating more things for Occult Media. So I created my moon journals. And the moon journals was something that I wanted to create for Subconscious Moon, but it just felt more aligned to Occult Media, where I separated 4 different journals for each of the zodiac signs that are broken down by their elements. And I created basically a spiritual book that helps you understand not only your energy as your moon sign, but also like the moon in itself and different magic, different types of shadow work, different things that you can do that help you connect more to your moon sign, because your moon sign, as you know from a previous episode, is how you really can understand your emotions and who you are and your feminine energy at its core. So me being able to curate that and actually create it, and it's in my face right now, like, it is something that is beautiful. On top of that, I made my own oracle deck called Intuitive Luna that is literally for the moon and you tapping into that feminine energy. And I had it be produced underneath Occult Media. So me really understanding these things that I have been creating, and it has been in the form of media to really align to that, has me really feeling really aligned to what I wanted to create. So the last 2 weeks, I have really been in my own hurdle and creating more for Occult Media, to where I've created a whole collection of merch that is in alignment to starseeds, alien, your DNA, Occult Media energy in itself. And I took the time to find the designs, to go and do Adobe to really create that. Not only that, but start creating things for Occult Media and pushing that information out there to the collective, because when I think about Occult Media, I really wanted to, like I said, have a place where a community can be created, but also the second side of that is really helping those creatives create their download, create the thing that they are saying, yes, I want to develop this, but they may not know how to actually do it. That is the reason why, I want to have that service space for Occult Media. And then, which brings me back around to when I said earlier about how I've been helping my clients, develop their own brand. I think with Occult Media, there's probably going to be some type of coaching within that allows people that if they really want me to help them with their brand, or understanding their story, or how to connect to their clients, or what kind of social media should they be doing, and things like that nature. That's going to be a way for them to connect me on that way, instead of it being through Subconscious Moon. So this transition that I've been in for the last month has really allowed me to push through a lot of my past identities with Subconscious Moon, and has allowed me to stage number 4 in the ego death, which is that soul growth, that enlightenment, that allowing me to know that if I let go of all these old patterns, which I have, I can now move in a direction that feels more aligned to me. And a lot of the big things that I've said to myself over this past weekend, since we just experienced the Pisces full moon, was a lot to me saying that my old ideals of the old things that I've have experienced, I no longer want to go through that. I no longer am attaching myself to that. It really, I don't know how to really explain it to y'all, but it really is a lot of me changing my mindset, like really changing my mindset and saying, I'm okay with going through this process if this means I'm going to have this in my reality. And I already see my vision. I'm doing a lot of visualization meditations where I see myself. I can taste it. I can feel the wind against my bald fucking head. I can see myself driving the car with my kids in the back. I can see my partner. Shout out to you, Ryan. I can see my partner um, really with me and enjoying the life that I am envisioning in Washington that I'm going to be moving into. I can see that move. I can see it. I can taste it. And it's like I no longer am going to allow the ideals of how I used to think affect the way that I'm moving forward. I'm not going to do any more meditations or watch any videos or stop doing things and trying to force a manifestation in, especially when I'm in this mode of like I don't have and I'm worrying. Shout out to the airplane going through right now because it just confirms what I'm saying right now. Out of all the times that come through, that airplane came through right there. That is the universe telling me, yep, Kandice, you're right. You're damn right. I'm no longer in that mode. I literally feel like I just switched timelines. I switched frequencies for where I know where my life is moving forward. And I'm in that alignment. I'm in that leadership role. I'm in that businessy, I'm curating a business. Like, y'all don't understand the things that I see for occult media is something that I see my kids being involved in some capacity. Like I see my oldest having a section of occult media curated just for teenagers, for kids his age, because there's something that I see within him that he can curate through my media company. And I see him as an Aquarius. The Aquarius they're the future. They think, they innovate. They're also communicative. They rule the 11th house. So I can see my son creating something in this media form that's for his people, that continues that leveling up in the collective. And that is soul growth. That is enlightenment. I see it. My soul feels lighter. My body feels lighter. If you've been watching or listening to any of my TikToks lately on this Galactic Mystic, I have been seeing a lot of my physical body, the ascension that I've been feeling, where my body just feels like it's 5 feet under, but my soul is higher. It just seems like things, you guys don't get it. When you get it, you get it. the energy when you have enlightened yourself and really let go of the ideals and you're just here to create, you're understanding that concept of I'm a spiritual being and I am meant to love. I am meant to experience life. I am meant to send that love and light and to build a community, a sense of finding people that are like me. And that's it. Anything and anything that doesn't fit that, it doesn't bother me anymore. My root chakra is completely opened and it's energetic and it is roaming right now. It's not blocked, it's not dull, it's not stagnant. My root chakra is on fire. My solar plexus, no, excuse me, my sacral on that creativity and seeing those visions and seeing myself really embellishing that, especially since my human design is a generator. I am completely in my sacral and it is orange and it is vibrant. My solar plexus, yeah, my inner child is happy in the inside because she no longer has to feel like she can't be creative and to not feel successful. Like my solar plexus is thriving right now and in the mode of just create and do and like be in that flow because it feels aligned. My heart center, my heart chakra is beaming. I have people right now that I completely love and they love me and I feel it. It's a different kind of love, y'all. It's a different kind of friendship. It's different being in a cautious, spiritual, aligned relationship where it's two people being truly understanding their own shit and not blaming the other person. It's real. And it's not just in my personal relationship, but it's also in the friendships that I've developed. It's being able to see it, to talk about the faults, but then still be able to move forward and not feel like, you know how you can get into an argument with a friend and you're like, they didn't hear me and all this. Like, no, like you can talk about your emotions on both ends and you can see it on both ends and still be able to move forward and not have that negative feeling against each other. Like, that's real. My heart space is open. My throat chakra is obviously thriving right now because I'm talking to y'all. I'm being able to say things freely. I'm being able to communicate with other people. I am sending out notifications for podcasts and like having people to reach out to me that I don't know, that I want to just open up that space to allow them to really feel connected to me, to the universe, to divine, to spiritual counsel. You know, like it's my third eye completely open, completely seeing my visions, completely understanding my higher self, getting those left ear high pitches, knowing that I changed timelines, or knowing that I'm in alignment, to know that I'm hearing her voice and saying, you did that, good job, like keep doing it, Candice, like you're becoming more aligned to where I'm at right now, like you're fast tracking this, like it's alignment. And to know that my crown chakra, with my own spiritual counsel, all the aliens that come through, the angels, the animals, my ancestors, everyone that comes into my space, I feel them. And I know I'm being protected by them. And they are protecting me. And it feels aligned. And I can absolutely say that I have gone through an ego death. Now, to say that I'm not going to go through another one is stupid because I'm a spiritual person, I'm a spiritual teacher, and I will constantly be learning. And if any spiritual teacher tells you that they're done and they don't have nothing else to learn is a fucking liar, then they're not really spiritual, because if they are, they know that we're constantly learning. The more we level up, the more there's going to be trials, the more there's going to be new experiences that are going to be testing us in some capacity that we're going to have to learn and let go. But I can absolutely say right now, in this particular moment, as I'm looking at this beautiful sky right now, with maybe those fake ass clouds, I have really come to a place of soul growth, and this enlightenment that I feel is so pure. It's so beautiful. And I know that this season, this new season of fall, is going to be amazing for me. And I'm really glad that this is going to be our last episode for season 1, because, ooh, I'm saying that and I just looked at the clock and it's 5:55. Ow. Yeah, it seems like this is a new chapter, a new change, a new season, a new things. It's just alignment. That alone, me looking at the clock right now, is alignment. It's beautiful, man. And me talking about ego death is a good way to end season 1. Moving forward, you can definitely catch me on Occult Media, because I'm going to be recording podcasts for those episodes in this month leading into October. And I'm excited to really talk to individuals that are different, that are conspiracy theorists, if that's a word, people who want to talk about, film, and how looking at Nope or pop culture and how that relates to right now, and how they're talking about spirituality, or talking about soul growth and reincarnation, and past life regressions, and talking to individuals that have the same chart as me, or in alignment in some way. We have a lot of things in common, but our charts are different. But talking about that, and diving in more into astrology, and just talking more about occult, weird fucking things. I'm here for it. I'm ready for this new chapter, this new season of things. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. This is going to be the end of this episode. If you'd like to find me, you know where to look for me. You can find me in Occult Media over there. If you want to be part of the podcast, please reach out to me in some form or fashion, because I would love to sit down and talk to you about your journey, or what you would like to talk about for this collective. Make sure you're still following me, because this is going to be my personal page. I'm not going to not still create, duh. But the podcast in itself will be kind of slowed down for a while I get Occult Media up and running. I think once I get that rhythm going on, and I can allow myself to sit down and talk more about other things, and getting back to over here, it's going to be really great. So, I don't know if I'm going to be putting out anything in regards to collective readings. Probably not, since I'm taking a hiatus a little bit. I think just my energy is going to be shifting that way, which I think is good, because, Pisces is the end of a season, and Aries is the new of a season. And so I think this is a really beautiful era for me to kind of stop, as I kind of began in the new moon in Pisces. So as we're ending in the full moon in Pisces, I think that's a beautiful transition. For the YouTube channel here, I do think I'm going to post more of my veganish lifestyle. And I do know that I'm going to be creating a YouTube channel for Occult Media, and I think that's all going to be Occult Media stuff. So podcasting, creating the books, giving you guys ideas, helping you guys build in that sense. It's going to be a different side of Kandice, and I really want to have Occult Media be that and have Galactic Mystic be my personal stuff. So you'll probably see a little bit more personal vlogs, a day in a life as a business owner maybe. Moving, obviously, because I'm going to be moving out of Arizona here pretty soon. And so I think I'm going to just leave it at that. I don't know exactly what this is going to be on, but I think whatever I want to create, I'm going to put on here. And yeah, I appreciate every single one of you guys for listening and downloading or sharing or anything of that nature, because it's because of you that I've been able to really do this. And I hope that you guys follow me along on Occult Media aspect to where you can hear me more, talk about different things on that side of the land. I just really appreciate every single one of you guys. And I hope that my story and me talking about ego deaths has allowed you to feel a little bit more in tune to that. And with that being said, y'all, I love you. Thank you so much for listening. And I will catch you guys at season 2 with